private label room for FBA small and light, worrying about Chinese sellers screwing with the margins. So we have a guy on our team, in our community, who the last time I saw, he was at 67% profit margin, $7,000 a month, and he does small and light. If you're in the community, post on the community and ask this question. I can tell you now, because small and light is not even well known, there's massive opportunity there, absolutely. If you're worried about the Chinese seller screwing with your margins, let me say this. There are two things you don't want to battle: price and reviews, okay? If I go to your product, Jack, and the only difference it has from product, you know, Bobby McGee's product, you'll meet him someday, guys, I promise. If the only difference is the price, then I've been forced to make that my determining factor to decide which one to buy. If the only difference is the number of reviews, same thing. I'm now forced to decide, well, I'm gonna buy the one with the best and most reviews. But if yours is differentiated so well and so uniquely, and in a way it's difficult for people to copy, here's the cool part. Now, I'm going to buy your product because of the value it brings, not as much because of the price. Because remember, price is only a representation of value. If someone says that's too expensive, what they're really saying is the value is not great enough for that price. That's what they're really saying. You would not say that a Tesla car that costs $10,000 is too expensive. But if you were talking about a pencil, you would definitely say that's too expensive. So what happened is you made a statement based on the value. So when I look at your product, Jack, you don't want me making a decision because your product's price is a little higher than the Chinese seller, so I'm gonna buy theirs. And if you aren't differentiated, you force me to make that decision based on price. What you wanna do is force me to make a decision based on the value your product brings. And if you do that well, it can be very difficult for Chinese sellers to copy what you're doing. Or by the time they do, you already have such a big part of the market share, you're absolutely crushing it, man, and I can't catch up with you. Need some reviews, any hint? So Assad, my first question is, why do you need reviews? Why? Here's the thing. If your product is not selling because of a lack of reviews, then you didn't differentiate it well enough. If I go to Amazon and let's just pretend this is a remote. Can you just pretend this is a remote too? Okay, let's just pretend, all right? If these are both remotes and this is your product and this is your competitor, if the reason yours isn't selling is because of a lack of reviews, that means one of two things happened. Either they have thousands of reviews, which means you entered a too competitive market, or yours isn't so unique that I would buy it anyway, so the only reason I would buy yours is because it has more reviews. Do you see what I'm saying, brother? So what you want to think about is, how did I differentiate my product? So the differentiation point is not about reviews, but about the value the product brings. In other words, if a product is not unique enough, the only way I have to decide which one to buy is the one thing I can compare, and that is reviews and price and pictures, see? So you don't want to, it's almost like entering that price war where everyone keeps dropping the price. You don't want to enter that war. How do you avoid it? And how do you avoid the review war? You differentiate your product. That's why we have multiple people on our team launching products and are getting reviews immediately. Why? Because it's differentiated. People with 0 reviews are getting organic reviews immediately, which is super low risk. The chance of Amazon removing those is pretty slim. Now just remember, guys, when you differentiate your product, don't ask your supplier their advice on the market. They don't know the market well. What they know is the market of the retailers, but not the consumers. There's a big difference. I made this mistake. In my early days as an entrepreneur, I sat at my desk and I called hundreds. I forget the number. It was like close to 900 different suppliers. Every day I called like 5 to 10 every single day. And I said, what do you suggest is the best product to sell? Now, you know, credit to me for hustling. And I learned a lot about suppliers doing that. That was my first step into supplierhood, if there's such a word. But it's the wrong way, because a lot of times they're gonna say, oh yeah, buy this, because they're just trying to get rid of extra inventory that isn't selling, you see? So don't depend on your supplier to give you advice. You depend on the consumer to tell you what they want. Then you go to the supplier, you're the boss, and you tell them what you want. Guys, be polite, be respectful, but be directive with your suppliers. You are a business partner to them. You are not their employee, and you're not their boss. There needs to be a balance, but you need to be directive. You're paying them to serve you, so you need to tell them, here's what I need, and they need to honor that. Could bundling too much your main product give the idea it's a cheaper product than competitors? I love this question, guys. I want you to think about it. And my answer is no, I don't think so. Here's what it can do, though. If my main product is a tea mug, but I want to bundle it by adding on a tea dispenser, my friends, we have a problem. Because now the tea dispenser, because it's more expensive, is going to be perceived as the main product. And if my keywords in my title still make this the main product, but the picture's showing this because it's more expensive, people think of it as the main, then I'm not going to rank well at all. And when people do find it, they'll be confused and it won't convert. The greatest enemy to conversion is confusion. The greatest friend of conversion is clarity. Make sure your listing is built in such a way so when they see it, they know exactly, Linda, what that main product is, and everything else is supplementary and supportive. How do I know if they're supplementary? 3 things. Is it smaller? Is it lighter? Is it cheaper? All your bundled item accessories need to be smaller, lighter, and cheaper. If you do it that way, you're doing it right. Any tips on differentiating? Thanks for all your help, greatly appreciated. Yeah, this is a great question. This is one of my favorite questions, you guys, for this reason. If your product is not differentiated, your business has no hope. You cannot succeed without differentiation. You must differentiate your product. Give me a reason to buy your product above the competition. There are 2 kinds of differentiation. There's perceived value and there's real value. Look into both. Study your competitors' critical reviews and ask a simple question: what do customers not like about their product? Second question, how can I fix what they don't like? When you put those 2 together, you have a plan for differentiation. There's a third way too. Run a PPC ad campaign on a simple, generic product. By the way, guys, warriors, go watch the video. It's our most in-depth product research video I've ever done in my life. How to find new products, new product ideas, and expand product lines using PPC ads. Please go watch it. It's in the find section. That video took us a lot of time to put together, and it was a combined experience of myself and 2 other Just One Dime coaches who are also crushing it on Amazon. Run PPC ads on your product. Use the keywords to show you what customers are searching for. Those keywords are like little gold mines to give you ideas for adding accessory items to your main product to bundle it. Just make sure those accessory items are smaller, are lighter, are cheaper. If we launch a product and differentiate later, can we amend the existing listing ASIN, or will we need to start from scratch? Thanks, Marion. No problem, Marion. So yeah, you can always differentiate later, absolutely. If you've already launched a product and you're thinking, man, I should have differentiated, then you can still do that. But I would not recommend ever launching a product that's not differentiated, and here's why. It's going to be really hard to get significant sales unless you're on the first page. To get to the first page, you need a lot of sales. So let's say you do a bunch of giveaways to get on the first page. But if your product is not significantly differentiated, you won't stay on the first page. You'll drop to page 70 again. See what I mean? And then you lose money. So you end up spending a lot more time and money. So if your budget is limited and you're thinking, man, I want to differentiate, but I can't afford it, instead of differentiating with a real value, like changing the thickness of the mug, okay, that's real value, you might change with perceived value, like the actual design on it. The design can change. It's going to cost no more to the supplier to change the design, maybe very little. Or the packaging. The packaging is another thing. I've been using these ear pods. They're really awesome. And the package they came in, again, from Apple, they always overachieve on this and they do a good job. It made me stop and realize, wow, this packaging looks amazing. And because it looks amazing, it increases the perceived value of these ear pods. If your budget is limited on your first launch, I recommend that you differentiate on perceived value more than real value. It's much less expensive to differentiate based on perceived than real value, because what that does is, for example, you have a different color, or you have a different variation, or you have better photos. Sometimes you can differentiate just by having a better looking listing, and that alone does it. So you need to understand your competition so well, you can say, wow, these photos really suck. My differentiation for my first run, I have better photos. Now, obviously, that's not gonna last forever. Someone's gonna come along and they're gonna try to top your photos. So for your first run, that's fine, but don't depend on that long term. Second, if you're lacking money, guys, get a second job. Start driving for Uber. Go start mowing people's yards. Do you know I sold lemonade? I sold lemonade in my early 30s, late 20s. I sold lemonade to make money on the street with my kids. That was one of my first entrepreneurial ventures. Didn't make much money, but I had to get myself in the mindset, I will do whatever it takes. I don't care. I'll stand there on the street and say, hey, you want a cup of lemonade? We will take the lemons of your life and we'll turn them into tasty lemonade. So, yeah, you need to generate more cash on the back end, differentiate by perceived value on the front end. That's what I would do. If I see that I haven't differentiated enough, but my inventory is already in WH. Oh, I suck at acronyms, guys. What is WH? Warehouse? And is it your warehouse or is it Amazon's fulfillment centers? Technically, Amazon doesn't call them warehouses or fulfillment centers, but I'm gonna assume that's what you mean. If I see that I haven't differentiated enough, but my inventory is already in the warehouse, what is the strategy? Sell, break even, losses, improve a second, or make removal order. Okay, I'm gonna give you a broad answer and then a specific answer. Remember, you have 4 main assets: people, time, knowledge, money. If you hang on to the product hoping it will sell, you're losing time, you won't make much money, you may even break even. So there comes a time where you just need to completely liquidate and get rid of it. Drop your price, sell out, move on to the next thing, unless the Amazon FBA fees are high, so high that you lose money selling it. In that case, do a removal order, sell them on eBay. But first research eBay and see if they're even selling at all. One more thought. My very first Amazon product, I first tried to sell on eBay. It didn't do well at all. I started selling on Amazon, it did insanely well. Sometimes switching platforms makes a big difference. Why did it do well on Amazon? Because no one else was selling that product. Back then, I didn't know how to differentiate. Months later, I realized I gotta differentiate because the competition started crushing my product. Okay? So that's what I would do, is make your decision based on your assets, Makovich, and move. Remember, movement is life. You have to keep your business moving. And I like how your question is, you're thinking, should I sell, break even, losses, improve, etc. I've differentiated my product, but still am not getting a good response. Okay, so Sihaj, let me say something. And guys, I'm gonna be very blunt and direct with you guys because, and I don't mean this in a cheesy way, I love you guys and you've been super supportive to me. I wanna do the same for you, okay? Sihaj, I know you feel like you differentiated it well, but what you feel doesn't matter. What I feel doesn't matter. What your customer feels is what matters. In other words, let me use myself as a bad example. We've launched products that we thought were differentiated so well, and we were so wrong. Do you know why? Because even though wait, this is way better. Look at this, it works better. Yeah, but no one knew. They couldn't tell by the photo. What matters is that your customer believes and knows it's differentiated, you see? So see how you have to find out, my friend, why aren't people buying? And there's 2 reasons. Either they can't find it, okay? When they type in the keyword, you're not showing up on the first page, or that could be the issue, or it is showing up, but they're not buying it. Why? Well, because your competitor's doing a better job than you. Right now, they're kicking your butt. You have to find out how they're kicking your butt. They've knocked you down. You got to get up again and say, okay, here's an idea. Here's one thing. I'm going to kick their ass. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to do a Photoshop, okay? I'm going to search the keyword with all the main products. And if mine's not there, I'm going to Photoshop it in there. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to share it with 1,000 people and say, which one would you buy? And if yours is not 80% the time or higher, that one, clearly you have something to fix. You need to ask them, why did you pick that one? Well, I can tell, it looks like better quality leather. See? Oh, well mine looks cheap. You see what I mean? They're gonna see things you don't. Here's the problem, guys. It's kind of like being married. This is gonna sound super cheesy, okay? When you get married to someone and you're in love with them and and it doesn't have to be marriage, you can just be with them as partners, it's fine. But you grow old with them. Okay? Someday you're gonna be old. Okay? Some of you guys are old. 70s, that's old, isn't it? I'm gonna be in my 70s someday. But you're still in love with each other and you find each other very attractive because you're in love with them. You're not objective. But that's a good thing, right? That's a part of the joy of that relationship. You're so in love with them, you don't see the flaws. You even favor the flaws. You love the flaws because you love the person and you've known them for so long. And it makes your sex life stronger, it makes your relationship stronger, there's more excitement, there's everything. In a similar way, you guys have to be careful. If you freaking marry your product, you're not gonna see them as objectively. You need other people to point out the flaws. Yeah, but he's my husband. Yeah, I know he's your husband, but he's got flaws, but we've been together for so long. I've been researching him on Amazon. You see what I mean? You gotta get out of that and say, I need people to tell me the flaws in the product that I said I do to on my wedding ceremony. You see, that's the problem. So Sihaj, my recommendation is you probably, had a wedding ceremony with your product and got married to it, and you need someone else to speak life to that product. Does that make sense? And that's how you're gonna get stronger. This is awesome, Sihaj, and thank you for bringing this up, brother, because guys, we have to get out of our own head. You know what I mean? We have to be realistic with ourselves. Look, wherever I go, I'm there. Like, I went to New York, Seth was there. I went to China, Seth was there. I went to London, Seth was there. I can't get away from me. So therefore, I always have a level of subjectivity. That's why I need people who are honest to help me grow as a person, as an entrepreneur, and my products to do better, who will speak truth about them. Please provide some examples of how you can provide value to customers. Yes, I can do that, Jeff, absolutely. So number one, when you build out your Amazon listing, when I go to your listing, Jeff, does everything in that listing revolve around showing me value? When I buy your product, does something show up in the product that surprises and delights me that I didn't expect, Jeff? Jeff, is there something in the freaking product that blows my mind? Okay, so you promised me a teacup. What if you added a coaster? What if you added something else that I didn't expect? Now the chances that I'm gonna come back and give you a positive review is 10 times more. Jeff, when I buy your product and there's that little card and I click on the link, or I type in the link because I can't click on the card, and I go to it and you get my email, the first email you send me needs to give me value. Maybe it's a funny video of you and your business partner demonstrating how to use the product and you keep messing up and it makes me laugh. That is adding value to me. When you do the About Me section on your enhanced brand content, if you have brand registry, I don't know if you have it yet or not, Jeff. You notice I keep saying Jeff, so don't forget, your name is Jeff. I hope you appreciate that, man. I'm thinking of you, man. Does that stand out, or is it just the typical 100% customer satisfaction service, guaranteed return? Everyone says that. Why not be different and do it in a way that shows personality? There's 5 or 6 ways right there you can apply today, my friend. Thoughts on 3D printing for your initial product idea? Too pricey, right? Yes, your first product, I wouldn't do it. I think it's not necessarily too pricey. I think it's too risky. Too pricey, it depends on your resources. If you have enough resources, it's totally fine, do it. I think it's more about risk, because if you're doing your first product, if it's 3D printing, that implies that I'm assuming you're doing a brand new, completely different kind of product. Right? So you're not just doing an improvement on a current one, you're doing a new one. The newer the product is, the riskier it is, because you have less data to go on. How do I know people want it? See what I mean? So it's better to start, for your first product on Amazon, start with an improvement off a current product. That's safer. You may not be as differentiated as going out with a new product, and of course you wouldn't be, that's natural, but long run, it's a lot safer when you're starting out, because when you're new to Amazon, you guys, your knowledge is lower, and therefore you have to be more careful what you spend and where you spend your time, because if you lose that money, it's harder to catch up again. See what I mean? After you have more capital and more experience, you can try different things, because even if you did start to slump in sales, you know what to do to get them back up again. So those are my thoughts on 3D printing, but 3D printing is absolutely stellar when it comes to creating a brand new product, 100%. By adding a battery to a product, is that about a differentiation? Great question. I love Mini 9 camera, nice. So what you wanna do is differentiate not for its own sake, but for the sake of the customer, the shopper. So if someone is asking for that in a critical review, then you know that's important to them. You see what I mean? If you know that this will enrich someone's experience using the product, and they may not have asked for it because they haven't thought of it, but you thought of it and it fixes a need. They may not have asked for a battery. They may have said it dies too soon. See? So what you do is you go find a better battery and explain it has better life. So in other words, you're focused on a solution. All differentiation should be driven by adding value to your shopper, to your buyer. Edward says, Seth, I have a product struggling in Amazon because of the bundle I created. Now the question is, can I relist the same product without the bundle with a different UPC code? You can, but you have to do what's called a removal order. You go into Seller Central, you do a removal order. It's very low fee. They send it back to you, assuming you're in the same country of where you're selling. That's what I'm assuming. And then you can rebundle it and do it. You can actually edit the listing. If the listing has some ranking, if it's at least selling 3 or 4 times a day, it has ranking you don't want to lose. So close the listing, do a removal order, fix it, send it back in, open the listing, edited without the bundle. That's what I would do, brother. All right, let me see the questions. It's definitely a risk, and yes, you were definitely exactly right. I get it. Yeah, it's a risk, man. It's a risk, and sometimes you're gonna be like, I'm on an airplane, I'm going down, like, oh my goodness, what do? Do I jump out with the parachute, or do I pull the lever and try to swoop out? Like, life is like that, you guys. And you know what? When you're in that moment where you feel like you're going down, just for a moment, step outside of yourself. I'm not trying to get all creepy new age here, but step outside, look at yourself and go, you're in a good spot right now. You're learning stuff. What can you learn from this? Like, leverage that pain and that frustration, and it makes you a deeper person and more powerful. I got a great product, but trying to differentiate, costs are too much. So Regina, here's a couple questions for you. Are you differentiating on perceived value or real value? In the membership, we teach very clearly both of these. By the way, members, we just updated that video like 4 days ago, 5 days ago. So go to the find section, one of the last tabs on differentiation, go watch it. We updated the video and we fixed the audio problem. I'm really sorry about that, by the way, too. What you want to do is when you look at your listing or the competitor listing, if it's too expensive to differentiate it on real value, you're going to differentiate on perceived value. An example of perceived value is your photos, better photos. The copy, better words when you're describing it in the title, bullet points, and description. A better PPC ad campaign, which we teach that in our membership, as well as, and this is really key, the color. A lot of times, all it takes is a different color. One of our members, all we did was change the color, his sales tripled. His sales tripled, and all he did was change the color. Guess how much it cost him? Nothing more.